If you're interested in learning how to use three-column notes, I think you're on the right track. You are in a math class, and you have to be organized. If you are going to take notes, you can just scratch out lots of things on pieces of paper and throw them away. But when you get to a midterm or a final exam, it's really useful if you can go back through some organized notes. So here's how to do three-column notes. And there are lots of other procedures. This is one I use with my classes all the time. You can use any kind of piece of paper. I tend to want to turn it landscape fashion because we're going to need three columns. So I'm just going to draw a line across the top. Usually when I'm working in class with students, I'll use graph paper. It makes it a little easier. And then first column right here. And we'll do another column right here. There's no real magic. It just sort of depends on what you really like. But the three columns basically do this. First column, we're going to write the problem. Second column, we're going to write the solution. And the third column, we're going to show notes. And these are important, as you'll see. It's one of the reasons why this system really kind of works. So let's take a look real quickly in ALEKS, and we'll find a problem that you may have experienced. This one is a signed fraction problem, and I'm going to try to copy it over to ALEKS. I can't copy and paste it because it will be a little, it won't come out real well. So we've got 3/8, negative 3/8 times 2/7 times 3. So the problem, I think, and I'm going to go back and make sure I pick up those signs. We have 3/8 times 2/7. I know there's some, and then times 3. And I believe it was a negative 3/8. This was negative here. And so that's our problem. But the first thing I want to do in ALEKS for three-column notes is make note of this title of the topic right here. You can also, if you like using your textbook for review, you can go into the textbook here and look at the ebook and find the chapter and page number. I'm going to keep this fairly brief though. So I'm just going to use the ALEKS topic. And so signed fraction multiplication advanced. Let's go back into our document. So the first thing I want to know about this problem is the title. So in ALEKS, it's signed fraction multiplication. And then that was advanced. Now the reason I want that is because that's going to be how I'm going to find this problem again in the future. And I'm also going to look at what week am I working in. I believe that problem comes out of our week 2 topics. This is kind of if once you've worked in ALEKS for a while and you realize you need to practice a particular problem, it can be kind of tricky to get back to those problems and figure out where exactly they are. So if I know the title of the problem and know what week it's in, I can use this this drop down arrow here, and there I have it. We're in week 2, and that's where I'm going to find that problem. And if I'm in the review, I'm going to find it, you know, in the carousel view, and there we go. So so now we're going to try to work that problem through. Now you have options in ALEKS to look at an explanation and so forth. So that can be helpful too. So we're going to say that this is a multiplication problem. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is make sure we recognize that whole number 3 can be represented as a fraction. And so this is something you can use in your notes too, where you can sort of kind of put a bullet and say, you know, all whole numbers can be made fractions over 1. So any number that's a whole number, we simply turn it into a fraction. We know multiplication of fractions actually relatively easy in the sense that we can just multiply across the top of the 3 fractions and across the bottom. But we also know that we can do some cross canceling here, if you're familiar with that. We've also got to be careful, you know, so we can sort of put another little note here, careful, you know, when multiplying, multiplying negatives, because we're going to get different results depending upon which numbers or which signs now numbers are carrying. So we're going to have a positive times a negative times a positive. That's going to give us a negative result, if you think about it. We're going to have a negative times a negative times a positive. That's going to give us a positive result. So again, these kind of notes over here can be really kind of instrumental in you thinking that. So let's rewrite our problem over here and kind of work it to a solution. So we've got 3 over -8 times -2 over -7 times 3 over 1. First thing we're going to do is do that kind of cross canceling between the 2 and the 8 here. They have a common factor of 2, so 2 goes in with itself. It will go in with itself -1, and then 2 goes into -8, -4 times. I don't see anything else I can cross cancel here, so I'm going to get 3 times -1 is -3. -3 times +3 equals -9. A -4 times a -7 is a +28 times 1. Of course, it's still going to be 28. So for this one, we didn't have a lot of steps, really. We just needed to kind of make some notes about the procedure here. You know, again, you can say, you know, another note could be remember to cross cancel. Now, and however those notes work for you. And that's it, really. You know, but when you come back to look at your notes, you've got the title of the topic. You know where you can find it in ALEKS. We could also go back into ALEKS and look at the ebook, and we can go right into that section, and this will be looks like here we're going to be in actually in section 1.6. So that's another note that you can make, particularly if you prefer using the ebook itself. So let's go back into another color there. We can go section 1.6 textbook. And of course, we could get an example of the problem there and so forth. Okay. Now, I told my students I don't really expect that you would take detailed notes on every problem or put all these notes in, but you kind of know how ALEKS works. Once you've had one of these problems and you've put the answer in, you're going to get another one. And, you know, you can continue to put problems into this note-taking form as you need, but it's mostly to keep a record of each topic, what you did there, and so that when you look back through your notes before the midterm or the final, you can find everything. So that's your 3-column notes for math. It's a very simple note-taking system. Problems are always written out here, solutions here, notes about procedures over here. You know, if I was going to the next problem here, I would probably just, you know, draw a line across here. I can do my next problem right here. These same notes are going to apply. I would always start a fresh page of notes if you, you know, if you got your 3 problems correct in ALEKS. I wouldn't start a new kind of a problem here. I would start a new page of notes. Okay, so that's 3 column notes. There are a lot of other note-taking systems for math. Your teacher may have different ideas there. If you're using this particular strategy for your first year experience class, this is exactly how you should take your notes. Whether you're working in ALEKS or some other way, these notes are pretty flexible, and you can, you can adapt them to whatever kind of class that you are in. Okay.